Baron Productions presents Zorro, The Curse of Capistrano by Johnston McCulley. Part 2, The Three Suitors. The sun rose in fire over the mountains of Southern California, bathing the lush green gardens of the Pulido estate in its radiant glow. High above, on the veranda, the noble Don Carlos Pulido sat, overlooking the fields and woodland, his heart heavy with worries. Suddenly, he caught sight of a rider approaching along the southern ridge.
Oh, not another tax collector, surely.
But the rider was too well dressed for any tax collector, and as the horse drew near, Don Carlos quickly recognized who it was.
Don Diego, welcome, good signor. Delighted you could visit our humble estate.
Oh, it is a long and dusty road, Don Carlos. It wearies me to ride the distance.
Distance? But we're barely 4 miles from town, signor. That is, what can I do for you, my dear friend?
Actually, I was hoping to discuss something delicate, if I may.
But of course. Would you care for a little wine? It never hurt this time in the morning, did it?
Why not?
So, how are things back in town?
Much the same. Everyone's still talking about this Zorro rescuing Friar Felipe yesterday. I heard the sergeant's men were out scouring the highways for him all night. No sign of him or the friar, of course.
A clever rogue to outwit the sergeant's patrols. At least we know we have nothing to fear from him here.
You treat your farmers well, senor.
I did. When I had them.
What do you mean?
Governor Montechero disliked the way my wife and I spoke out against his raising the taxes on farm produce. Since then, he's had Captain Ramon strip our estate of everything his men could carry away with them, including the poor farmers. I imagine he'll try and take this house next.
He must be stopped.
We live in hope of a solution, signor.
Well, as it happens, I may be able to help you there. I had a long talk with my father yesterday morning. He informed me that, as a man of my age, I am not assuming my duties and responsibilities in the proper fashion. A man of my age, he told me, should have himself a wife, a mistress of his household, and should have offspring to preserve his illustrious name. So, I have decided to get me a wife.
Ha! It is something every man should do, Don Diego. Why, I remember the days when I courted dear Doña Catalina. We couldn't wait to get in each other's arms. But her father kept me from her for a time. But then, I was only 17, so he may have been right. Get you a bride, by all means.
That is why I am here, Don Carlos. I would like to ask consent to marry your daughter.
You wish to marry our Isabella, signor?
That is the purpose of my visit, yes.
Well, this is wonderful news. Isabella! Isabella! I fear that our bad reputations of late might have...
There are no bad reputations as far as I am concerned, senor. The Pulidos are of excellent blood. I have not forgotten. Now, I trust there will be no undue nonsense in the affair. Love and marriage, all rather a bore in its way. The idea of a man of sense running about after a woman, making up to her like a loon, playing a guitar under her window, when all it comes down to is one simple choice. Will the senorita have me, or will none of me?
Most young men would delight to win a woman with romance, signor.
No doubt, but it is an awful nuisance. Ah, I've got it. My servant Bernardo, he's a wonder at the guitar. I shall send him this evening, and he shall play beneath the lady's window on my behalf.
You won't come yourself, senor?
Isabella, I wanted to tell you the good news. Don Diego has...
I heard, father.
Then just say the word, senorita, and our families will make arrangements for the ceremony. They can send the plans to me by a servant of yours.
A servant, senor? Would you not rather come out here in person so we could make our plans together?
Why go to the effort when it is not necessary? Besides, all this riding is such a fatigue. I swear I shall have to sleep an extra 2 hours tonight to make up for the exhaustion this little trip has cost me. So, shall you agree to become my wife?
Don Diego, you are of a noble family and a respected man throughout California, but you are lifeless, senor.
I fail to see what you mean.
Is this your idea of courtship? Can you not take the trouble to ride 4 tiny miles on a smooth road to see the woman you profess to love? What sort of romance is in you that you would send a servant to play guitar beneath my window? Oh yes, I heard all about that, Signor. Well, send him if you will, and I'll throw boiling water upon him and blotch his white skin. Buenos dias, Signor.
I believe she is displeased with me.
Later that evening, at the soirée thrown by Don Carlos and his wife, the subject of Diego's proposal continued.
But I've given it due thought, Mother. The man has less life than a dried-up flower.
He is the greatest catch in all the country. He has wealth and position.
What use is that if he's dead inside?
He could mend our broken fortunes in an instant.
He has a magnificent house and a hacienda and the best horses in Los Angeles.
Oh yes, Mother, I'm sure his horses are quite magnificent. If only it wasn't such a burden for him to ride out here on them to see me.
Oh, surely that
Don
can.
Carlos, more guests are arriving, sir.
Right, come on. Proud faces on, my dears. Don't want to let them think the governor's got us down.
Don Bartolo and Doña Serafina.
Don Bartolo, delighted you could join us again, sir.
Doña Serafina, you look more stunning than ever.
Bless you, Don Carlos.
Don Diego Vega.
Ah, Diego, always a pleasure to see a fellow scholar again.
The pleasure is mine, Don Bartolo. How is Madrid these days?
The same as when you left. Full of young men with swords, desperate to prove themselves.
Oh, how exhausting.
Why? I'd happily prove myself with a sword.
I beg your pardon?
Daughter, now is not the time to...
Captain Estefan Ramon.
Don Carlos?
El Capitan. I did not realize you had occasion to visit us this evening. Nothing wrong, I hope.
Oh, you needn't fear, ma'am. I'm not here in my military capacity. Your father was kind enough to invite me personally to your little dinner party. Meanwhile, Sergeant Gonzalez here and his men will provide security, if anything should go wrong.
Good evening, senoritas.
Security? Why? Do you both expect Signor Zorro to try and steal the main course off our plates?
Perhaps not, my dear, but this is a rather large gathering of respected citizens. It would be foolish not to expect the rogue to attempt to deprive them of at least some of their valuables.
I'm sure we are very grateful for your assistance. Would you care for a drink, El Capitan?
Thank you, senor. Gonzalez, put that wineglass down and get about your duty.
Si, mi capitan.
Don Carlos, might I have a word?
Very well, Captain.
So, speaking of this Zorro, I hear Don Julio got a taste of his own medicine this afternoon.
It's true. Bartolo and I saw it happen. The masked bandit caught up with him earlier in the town square, held the man at sword point, bound him to a post, seized his blonde hair in one hand and gave him 30 lashes of the whip with the other. Said it was what he deserved for trying to force the same punishment on Friar Felipe.
Seems fair enough to me.
I hardly say whipping a respected nobleman in front of the mocking crowds was fair, senorita.
Why not? He would have seen the same punishment given to an innocent man of the cloth.
No such thing as one of those in my experience.
Besides, Captain Ramon arrested that friar himself. He must have been guilty.
That we could debate for some time, Don Bartolo.
Oh, all this running around with swords and whips. I must say it gives me a frightful headache.
Does it? Well, I admire Zorro. Whoever he really is, he has the sense to hide his identity behind his mask, so that he can act openly against the likes of our noble governor without getting traced back to his home and family.
Now, Isabella, it wouldn't do for us all to go gallivanting around wearing swords and masks.
Why not? At least this Zorro gets things done. If I could ride and fight as well as he, I'd have a good mind to join him.
You can't mean that, surely, senorita?
What's the matter, Diego? Not ladylike enough for you?
Please, Isabella.
Oh, that is quite a spirited daughter you have raised, Doña Catalina.
Better too much spirit than no spirit at all, Signor.
Shall we adjourn to the gardens, my friends? Supper will be served on the veranda.
Oh, why not?
You do not have to remind me of my position, Captain.
But it seems that I do, senor. I was in conference with Governor Montesero this morning, and he bade me keep a closer eye on your activities here. Why else would I deploy Gonzales and his men away from valuable duties elsewhere?
There have been no treasonous activities here, sir.
I am sure that is true. But perhaps a little token of reassurance from you and your wife would place my mind, and that of the governor, at rest.
Alas, I have no money left for bribes, Signor.
Oh, please, do not insult me. I have no use for the pitiful remnants of your fortune, Don Carlos.
Then what do you want?
I have said it many times, Senor. Your Isabella is the fairest of all the flowers from Capistrano to Andalusia. Never have I seen such grace and beauty, but I can only assume that my written proposals have somehow strayed by the wayside, as I have yet to receive any answer from her. Now, as her father...
As my daughter Isabella needs neither my consent nor my command when it comes to marriage, the girl shall wed when she has a mind to, and not before.
Surely you jest, sir, to give her that kind of liberty?
I do not jest, sir. And since she appears to have declined your proposals...
Have a care, Senor. I have been civil with you thus far, but you know the power that I wield in this district. It would be a shame to have to...
Father, dinner is served if you... Oh, sorry, am I interrupting?
Not at all, my dear. The good captain was just expressing his admiration for you. Delightful how popular you are at the moment, is it not? I was only on the verge of telling him how fortunate we are that Don Diego Vega himself propositioned you this very afternoon.
Don Diego, yes, I'm afraid he's just left, Father.
He left? But why?
Light fever apparently felt the need to return to the town in search of his doctor.
Quite understandable. After all, the man is not exactly a brave and dashing hero, is he? But perhaps, Don Carlos, if your daughter prefers wealth to a genuine man, poor Diego may still have a chance. Meanwhile, I advise you both to consider what I have said.
What has he threatened you with this time, Father?
Later. Come on, we'd better rejoin the dinner table.
I'll be just behind you. Who's there? Step out of those curtains. Do it now.
Buenas noches, señorita.
Oh, Dios mío.
You needn't be afraid, my dear.
I never said I was afraid. Who said I was afraid?
I did not mean to imply that you were, only that you needn't be.
Well, I'm not. And if you try to hurt anyone here, you'll see just how unafraid I am.
Do you know how to use that knife?
Since I was 4.
I'm glad to hear it. I trust you know who I am.
I do.
Then you should know that I mean no harm to you or any of this hacienda. I punish only the unjust, and your family is not that.
Then why are you here?
Your father is an excellent man, señorita. I admire him greatly, and I wish to help him. But more than that, I wished this evening to see you.
And why is that?
Because, Señorita Isabella, unworthy as I am to say it, I knew that I must declare the passion in my heart. Such beauty as yours would hinge a man's tongue so that both ends might be free to sing your praises.
Senor.
It is bold of me, I know, yet a man must express his feelings. I hope I have not offended you.
Not at all. I would that my beauty affected other men so.
What? Does the lady lack suitors? Surely it is not possible.
None of any real interest. One is a tyrant who thinks of nothing but his own pleasure and power, and the other, well, let's just say I've come to expect more romantic gestures from a dead cockroach.
A laggard at love, and in your presence? What ails the man? Is he ill?
He is so wealthy that I suppose he thinks he has but to request it, and a maiden will agree to wed him.
What an imbecile. 'Tis the wooing that gives the spice to the romance.
I'm glad you realise that, at least, Senor. But you must go, now. We've a party of guests here. Someone may come and see you.
Ashamed to be seen with a highwayman, señorita.
What if you're captured?
You do not wish that? It could mend your father's fortune if I were to let him capture me.
You'd do that for him?
Perhaps not today, but I will not forget my promise to help your family. And who knows, one day you may be able to help me. Until the next time, señorita, I shall hold the memory of your beauty in my heart.
Isabella, you really must return to the table. Where... Zorro!
Father!
Zorro, The Curse of Capistrano featured the voices of Daniel Wilmot as Diego and Zorro, Stephen Mawson as Don Carlos, Nell Frampton as Isabella, Janice Barnes-Newton as Doña Catalina, Paul Toy as Captain Ramon, Lee Gemmell as Sergeant Gonzalez, Rachel Lucy Nesbitt as Doña Serafina, Jose Ardim as Don Bartolo, Ali Sherman as the announcer, and Natalie Rowe as the narrator. The script was based on the novel by Johnston McCulley, adapted to radio by Daniel Wilmot, with music written and performed by Jose Ardim. The series was produced by Baron Productions.